Yeah, I mean, I see it says it's live at the
Oh,
top.
now it says recording. Okay, so maybe it is. Okay, let's see. Give me just a second. It didn't give us our countdown. Okay, and it looks like we even connected with Instagram. So
Amazing.
we are great. Welcome, everyone. I am so honored to be with you this morning, and I have the pleasure of having an incredible guest with us today. Now, uh, I want to tell you about how we met. We are both in a very high level mastermind, and it's one where we're there to really promote and learn how to grow our businesses and how to make our impact in the world. And she lives on the other end of the country, and we would have never connected if it wasn't for being in this mastermind together. And so I would just like to encourage all of you to get out there, join groups, connect with people because you never know what wonderful, incredible people you are going to meet. So today, I am with Sadia, and we are so blessed because she has written her second book and it is launching today. Today is the day, and it is called You Are the One. And I am going to let Sadia tell you all about it because it is one that I cannot wait to get my hands on. I am so excited about this book. So, welcome, Sadia.
Thank you so much, Coach Tammy. It's so wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me. So I'd be happy. Yes. So You Are the One, my first book that has just released on Amazon today. And this is, my heart and my soul pouring out to any woman in midlife who is feeling this real sense of intensity right now, where you've accomplished a lot and life somehow doesn't feel as great as it's meant to. And things are shifting and changing in your body. And there's a lot of noise out there that's trying to minimize us and trying to patronize us and trying to tell us that this is the moment in life where youth goes to die. And for a lot of women, they cannot fully understand the intensity of what they're feeling. And I know for a long time I didn't. But this book, You Are the One, Awaken Through the Trinity of Self, is the story of my own transformation. When I hit the final burnout in my early 40s, where I wasn't so sure I could flirt with that over again. Like it came to the point where I thought, oh, this time I think we came close enough to the edge. This is just not how we can do it anymore. And from the outside, everything seems fine. I had a wonderful career, two beautiful children, a lovely home. Like there is nothing remiss in my life, but something inside me was saying, I need you to stop. We cannot do it this way anymore. And in that moment, I decided to surrender. I wanted to understand why what I felt in my body and my being seemed so disproportionately huge compared to the circumstances in my life. And I discovered a few things that people will read about in this book. The first is that the pressure and the intensity I felt from spending all these years performing to standards I never got to co create for myself was actually not even so much about the standards themselves. It was that they had required me to silence parts of myself in order to meet them, to shrink, to fragment, to leave parts of me behind. And resisting the fullness and the fullest expression of myself was now more intense than my body and my being was going to allow me to continue to do. And so I surrendered to it. And I also decided that I didn't want to have to do it the way everyone else had. And I grew up in a big extended family. I love them dearly. But we always joke about well, I went through it, so you will too. And I had this moment as I looked at my two children where I thought to myself, I have so many brave and courageous women in my family, and I owe them so much because I'm here and I get to be me, but I'm not fully being me. And somehow I think I'm honoring their legacy by staying smaller or by conforming to rules that break my spirit. And what if it's not meant to be like that anymore? What if I get to say, I will honor you for everything you are, but I will put down the suffering. I will choose to completely stop living in a state of suffering and choose joy and love instead. And suffering is an actual state of being, and it's one that we can actually choose to stop. But it means that we have to give up a certain identity that became really comfortable for a long time, that usually became our badge of honor, our marker of success. It became everything we tied ourselves up into. And letting that go can feel a little bit scary. But what lies on the other side of that, when the fog finally lifts and your body starts to calm and your nervous system stops being in a state of survival, and you just allow yourself to be honest with yourself about what your biggest dreams are and how you want to feel and what you want to do, and you almost have that childlike wonder again, everything starts to shift in your life and everything starts to reconnect back into you. And I guide women through the process of my transformation through two of the three gateways in the Trinity of Self, which is devotion to self and reintegration of self. There's gentle integrations at the end of every chapter so that you're not just reading my words, but you're actually allowing your body to guide you back home to the truth of who you are. And then at the end of the book, my hope is that women will be breathing differently, moving differently, seeing themselves differently. And then there's opportunities to keep going and engaging with me and my world further beyond that too.
Oh, put down the suffering, that we don't have to keep identifying with that badge of honor of suffering, right? And tell me a little bit more about what that actually looked like in your life.
Sure. So what it looked like in my life was, and it does for many women, we are performing in a society that is dominated and created through masculine systems and structures. And I do a lot of blending body energy and soul work together. And so when you look at just the pure physiology and biology of men and women, like we're very different, you know? We have some similarities, but we have a lot of differences, and they're deep. And in women, our I believe that a woman's body is the most advanced form of technology we have on this planet. We are able to birth life and grow life in our wombs, but we do a lot more than that. In order for us to be able to do that, we have rhythms and cycles and seasons. And the world around us is not built to honor those. It is actually designed very much through patriarchy and through masculine norms. And they don't follow the same rhythms and cycles. You might not hear a man say, I really need to regulate my nervous system, but you will hear most women resonate with that, especially by the time they hit midlife. And so for me, the suffering was believing it needed to be hard in order for it to be worth it, believing that the greatest success came through the greatest effort. And that effort itself was hard, hard work. We don't say joyful work. We don't say expansive work. We don't say limitless work. We say hard work. It comes through hard work. But why? Like, who decided it had to be hard? What if it's not hard? What if our greatest talents are actually unlocked through our joy rather than through our hardship? And so that sense of like working hard, earning your place, climbing the ladder, um, being in line, right? You don't get to skip the line and run ahead. So you don't get to quantum leap and collapse time. You got to go through all the motions. I went through it. You're going to go through it too. Like I was raised at least, and I think many women resonate with this, where that was just our scaffolding. That was our conditioning. That was everything that we learned around us. And so we adopted it too. And when you're a young child and you're born, we are a very interesting species as humans because when we are tiny as infants, we can't survive on our own. We are actually completely reliant on other people to meet our needs for survival. And so, your nervous system, which is your electromagnetic communication in your body between your physical body, your mind, and your environment, is learning what behaviors you need to do and how you're going to react and feel in certain circumstances to get those needs met. Now, as we grow older, and so we learn all of these behaviors and we program them in usually before the age of 5. And then we run those programs the rest of our life. And when we come of age as an adult, no one that I know of comes and taps you on the shoulder or teaches you in school that, hey, you know what? Now you're moving into adulthood. You're going to have more autonomy, authority, and responsibility over your life, not just yours, but as you move into community and jobs and partnerships and marriages and having your own family, responsibility for other people too. You can change those programs because you don't need to rely on someone else to meet all your needs. You don't need to rely on someone else to validate that you belong, that you're worthy of love, that you need them in order to stay alive. You actually have sovereign capacity to do that yourself. And especially for women, you are still very often groomed to be and become whatever society around you is asking you to be. It's not very often that you're asking or allowing or shaping your women to just go for whatever it is that they want. And even when you are, there's always a subtext. So for me, the suffering came from continuing to want to be excellent and to perform to standards that were created by men that were not designed for me or other women to succeed, and that didn't actually understand what it means for us to live and work in our fullest potential, because they don't follow rhythms and seasons and cycles. Like, let me give you a really common example. For a lot of people, especially living in the Northern Hemisphere, New Year's in the Gregorian calendar, the 1st of January, falls in the dead of winter. When you look out, if you live in a part of the world where it is cold and freezing on January 1st, and you look out around you at nature, which to me is one of the most beautiful footprints of like cycle, seasons, and energies around us. It is the best reflection back to us of what is actually happening in this breathing, living planet that we call Earth. What's happening? It's cold. The trees have shed their leaves. It's quiet. Things are frozen. Animals are hibernating. In this moment, if you look at a beautiful tree, that tree is not trying to grow fruit or bear flowers. That tree is still, but it's solid. It's consolidating its power. It's making sure that its roots are deeply anchored in, and it is preparing for the next season that will come, but it is not pushing itself to perform in a season that is not meant for productivity. Women's bodies mirror nature. And so when we are asked to perform in ways that are these endless loops, we burn out over and over and over again. And you start understanding the seasons and the cycles and the rhythms, something that I love working with women with, to really understand their body and like feel the power that comes from knowing that. I built an entire organization around my cycle. When I had the chance to run my own organization, I actually by then understood every month, like, when is my energy the highest? When is it lowest? When will I be able to show up and perform for people? When is it time for reflection? When do we need time off? When do we go hard? And I built it around that because I wanted to know what happens when you do that. I mean, the culture in the organization was wildly successful because what we were doing was we were honoring that for people. So to me, suffering was the denial of the actual truth of how, as women, we get to live in our fullest potential. And it's just not anything that we get taught either in our primary care doctor's offices or in our schools, and certainly not out there in the workforce either.
Oh, but you are so right. So many we are, waking up to this and just seeking, like you've talked about, like that divine within us, honoring those cycles. And I love what you said about what if it doesn't have to be hard? What if getting your fullest potential isn't about suffering, isn't about making it harder, isn't about running faster? It's about honoring that divine within us and just And I love that you talked about the cycles and that, I was at the moment you were talking about that, I was picturing now, how does that actually look in real life? How does that look for the woman who's raising her children? How does that look for the woman who is in her 9 to 5 job? How does that look? And then you gave us a great example of how you were actually able to build your company around the weeks of what week are you going to be able to run the fastest? What week do you need to slow down? And that is so powerful. Can you even imagine if that was the standard?
I mean, that to me is part of bringing the matriarchy back into the actual consciousness of the world we live in. When you introduce these things, it's not to the exclusion of other people and their rhythms, but it is to the greater inclusion of a very large part of the population that is currently working too hard in ways that will never yield the outcomes. And so when we look at just in the work world or the business world, when we want to compare things like the performance of women, yes, but you're asking them to do it in a straight jacket on one leg, right? Like, in a way that's not possible. If you fully freed her and her potential and she understood how to tap into it, you would see an acceleration and explosion of potential and talent. And this is when I work with women, this is what I say. I'm like, you're going to be so excited to see how good this gets to be. You are going to wake up every day and you are going to say, you know what? I can't wait to see what I am capable of today, because you're not going to beat yourself into that performance. You're going to gently listen and guide your way there. And it's going to feel wonderful. And the more you do it, the more you're going to want to do it. And collapsing time is not that we are, people often ask me, like, what does that mean, Sadia? And I'm like, for me, collapsing time means you get towards the outcomes that you most deeply desire with less effort and in less time than you would otherwise. And you collapse time by coming into your fullest potential. So I ran this experiment in my organization, where I decided to take for a year the professional development budget that we had for my little team. And instead of investing it in having them go get certifications or do these things that, would look great on their resume, I asked them all to pick things that would really excite them, that they would really enjoy doing, something that they've always wanted to do but they've never done. And I'm not going to name the things that I paid for, because some people would be like, there is no way you are going to use your budget to pay for that. But I did. And I did it. And I let it unfold. And I watched their performance at work skyrocket, because the more that I allowed them to unlock their joy in things that they loved in their life, the more all of that translated to how well they did their job. So if you're in the right job, not everyone is, but let me give you an example, if you don't mind, if this is helpful.
Oh,
I'll
I
keep
I have
going.
to
And
say, I just love this. I just love this, and I'm so thankful that you can actually give us examples of what it actually looks like. We are so on the same page because I
okay.
like to do the same thing with my team. Each time we start a quarter, I'm like, "What sounds fun to you right now?" Right? And so
Mhm.
sometimes we have projects that are put on the back burner while they go do a project that sounds more interesting to them. And so it sounds
Mhm.
like we are so on the same page
I
with
love
that.
that. I'm so
Yeah.
happy to hear that. So I had a program manager, one of the best I've ever worked with, and she's still very dear to me. And she was meticulous. Like, this woman did all the things that my brain goes like, "Bro, I don't want to have to do that." I was so grateful for her, because I was like, that is not where I shine. And so I'm so glad you're here. And as I got to know her, I understood that she really delighted in baking. Like, she was when you look at what she would create and what her family celebrations look like when she was, the one who got to set the menu, like, it was extraordinary. Like, I was like, you could run a whole catering business on the side and be super successful. But here's what's really interesting. when she is baking, if you think about that craft, there's extraordinary precision to baking. You have ingredients, it's
Ooh.
the right measure, it's exactly the right order in order for you to come to an outcome. And sometimes you can get creative and you can mix certain things in order to elevate it even more. But there is an art to that. And so the more I invested in her exploring her creative talents, the more superior her project management got, her workflow management, her time management, her precision, her attention to detail, her creativity. It was the most beautiful thing to watch happen. And these are things where I say we start there. Like that's just the baseline. And what I wish I had known then that I didn't was that even all of those things done well in the absence of somebody truly allowing themselves to have permission for it to not be hard, to not have to suffer, to not have to prove and perform, and to not have to deny their nature as they're doing it. If I had known that then, I cannot even imagine where that organization could have gone. Because
Mhm.
even while I was doing all of these things, I was still looping in all my old patterns. So it's a very high functioning, very high performing, pioneering ways of working and culture. But and on paper, I was doing everything right in my life. My schedule looked like the things that most women dream of having as a working mom. So why was I still burning out? How'd I hit a burnout that was so deep that I talk about in this book that I couldn't even feel my pulse anymore? Like I didn't even know myself anymore. How could it be, right? I did everything. The one thing I didn't do was give myself permission to realize that all the love, all the belonging, all of the completeness that I was searching for in everyone else's approval of me, evaluation of me, actually could only come from inside me. And that the biggest relationship I was missing in my life was the relationship with myself. And something I had never been taught was how to be the best friend to yourself first. And what it means, especially as a woman who tends to be a connector in her communities, in her family, what it means for a woman to be the centerpiece of devotion in her own life. We are taught that that is selfish. We are taught that that is just not allowed. We are taught not to speak our needs. And every time we do that, we take the ability of our fullest potential and what we're really here to do in the world and we make it smaller and lesser and dimmer until we come to a point where everything on the outside is quite perfect and it's quite excellent, but on the inside, there's something that's saying, I can't anymore. And this is why in midlife, people like to call it your midlife crisis. It's an awakening. It's the moment where your sense of self is saying, no more self betrayal, no more self abandoning, no more struggle, no more denial. Can you love me as much as you love your children? Can you love me as much as you love your partner? Can you love me as much as you might love God? Can you love me? And for a lot of women, the answer to that is that they don't yet, but they can. And the process of coming into that is really gentle and it requires us to understand and work with our body so that we can actually come back into a state of being and alignment that allows us to show up for everyone we love around us by first showing up for ourselves. And a lot of
Oh,
people won't like to hear that, but really that is what I'm here to say.
it is so powerful. It is, and it is so true. just this week, we have a master's certification. And in our course this week, I had this big, beautiful teapot and this teacup, right? And I was just showing how if there's nothing to pour out, then there's going to not be as much to give. You've got
Yeah.
to fill up that teapot. And we all say that in our culture. I think that's something that everyone has heard. Now, can I ask really personally,
Of course.
when you say your schedule already looked like, does that mean you were already exercising? You were already,
Yes.
doing all those things.
Yes, it
But
means oh, go ahead, please
yeah,
finish.
but at the heart, you were still denying that love to yourself. Yeah.
Yes. I was energetically had not given myself permission to exist in this world as myself and to honor that I had complete value just by doing that. I was still energetically operating in order to receive the validation and the praise from everyone around me, my team, my partner, my donors and funders, right? I ran a nonprofit organization for years. We relied on money from other people, right? And so I was always trying to meet the expectations of people that I felt like were the ones who determined my value. Didn't realize that I inherently my value is my own, and if I could come home to that, really come home to that, not saying it, embodying and living it, that everything would start to shift and change. And energetically, I'll explain to you exactly how that happens. But from a schedule perspective, I could tell you I was an executive in my organization. I didn't have any meetings before 10 a.m. because I wanted to drop off my kids to school every day. And I wanted to be able to go for a walk or a swim or get in my workout. So my any of our meetings would start at 10 a.m. We had core hours where we were available to each other in different time zones, but the core hours were between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So we tried to do all of our live events, our programming, our team meetings during that time. Every other hour outside of that was asynchronous. It was for my team to decide how they were going to meet their deliverables and how they were going to do it. And if you're doing that at a yoga studio, then that's of your volition. I'm not there to police or demand that you be sitting in a certain location and doing it a certain way. I want you to do it to the level of excellence that as an organization we're committed to. And I'm going to trust that you know how to get yourself there. And so, 2 p.m. I'd be done. I always had an hour of transition time between work and picking up my kids because many working moms don't do this. They move from one thing into another. Everyone goes, "Oh, yay, it's the weekend." Most working moms I go are like, "Oh my God, it's the weekend." Why? Because you're exhausted from your week of work and everything you're doing with your kids too. And you're going into a weekend where you're with them all the time, which is supposed to be really happy time. You're supposed to look forward to that. And I have a lot of moms who really don't, and they won't admit it out loud because how shamed are you for being the mom who says, "I'm so tired. I don't want to deal with my kids all weekend." Like, and where have we come to if that's how women in the prime of their life are feeling? No woman wakes up every day deciding that's how she wants to feel. But that's how so many of us have felt. And that's how I felt, so overwhelmed at it. I didn't see the weekends as this fun time where we'd be able to like let loose. I saw it as another list of things that were going to be heavily scheduled where I was showing up and doing things for other people, but not necessarily myself. And so, how can you
And
not
you
burn
are you
out?
are so right. Like you said, every woman craves. I mean, at her soul, at her heart, she loves her children. She wants to be with her kids. She wants to be able to give to her kids and to her family. But like you are so right on saying, she's being forced into this rhythm that doesn't work for her. And like you're saying, she is so at burnout by the time the weekend comes. I
Yes.
mean, but can you imagine if we can flip that? When we flip that, can
Mhm.
you imagine how that will look for families, right?
Absolutely. And so you
Like the
create more
joy.
spaciousness. So every working mom I coach, I ask them, I'm like, "Where's your transition? It doesn't matter if it's 20 minutes on the metro home, a car ride, but what's the transition where you are not present for anything except for yourself? For me, this was between 2:30 and 3:30, right? I stopped everything. I nourished myself. Maybe I went outside. I didn't do anything. I wasn't consuming more stimulation. I wasn't watching TV or doing anything like that, reading a book. I was just being present with myself. In the
Tell us
evening,
more about how you nourish yourself right there in that half an hour. Like you said, you'd go for a walk.
mhm.
What are some other ways? So,
I mean,
phone is
I
not one of them. TV is not one of them, you
no.
know? Mhm.
Honestly, for me, one of the most restorative experiences is silence. And there's a lot of people who are very uncomfortable either spending time with themselves or spending time in silence. Many women I know crave it, but then when they get there, they're so stimulated and their nervous system is in this adrenaline rush of go, go, go that they are not sure how to calm down. And this is why devoting to yourself and actually healing your nervous system so that you're not spiking all the time is so important. What I learned through burnout was that no matter what routine and schedule I put in place, even if it was the envy of the town, if my body and my nervous system was still bracing, was still scanning for danger, was still moving performance in the mind, then it was never relaxing. And in those moments of confusion and a lack of clarity, when you're like, I'm not sure what I should be doing, or overwhelm, that is an energetic disconnection from your own intuition. When your nervous system relaxes and your whole body relaxes, it starts to tell you exactly what it needs. Like, I will wake up in the morning and I give myself a hug and I say, Sadia, it is my honor and my privilege to love and take care of you. Tell me what you need today. The first thing I do in the morning, I'm not saying good morning to my partner. I'm not going to hug my kids. I'm not doing it. It's the first thing I'm doing. It's just a few moments quietly with myself. They don't even know it's happening. Because the first person I want to know, how are you? How are you feeling? What do you need from me today? The things that is nourishment, which to me is a holistic 360 way that you take care of yourself and come into a state of being, starts to drop in. What I want to eat for breakfast, how I want to move that day, what in my schedule feels heavy, where would I like more spaciousness? And it drops in. These are your optimization codes. This is your inner genius. We come already coded as individuals uniquely with what this looks like, and particularly as women. And the easiest example I can give is it's like being a plant seed. If you buy a seed for an apple tree and you put it in the ground and it's in the right environment, it grows into a beautiful apple tree. And then eventually it bears fruit, it spreads its seeds, and you can have a whole orchard of beautiful apple trees. It's very rare that that seed, when planted in the soil, will spend many seasons questioning why it's not a sunflower or a pumpkin patch. Doesn't spend a whole lot of time trying to figure out if it should have a different identity. It usually learns how to leverage its environment, the soil, the nutrients, the sunlight, in order to fulfill its purpose that it was coded here for. And it has the capability and the knowledge, which is quite extraordinary when you think about it, of how to do that and how to bear its leaves and how to bear this beautiful fruit and what kind of fruit it will be and in what season and at what timing. It's already coded in. And we're not any different than that. We have all of this coded into us. The program was covered in our infancy when we needed a different program in order to have our needs met, because as a species we just couldn't survive otherwise. But underneath that old programming lies all of the information of how you optimize yourself, how you nourish yourself, what purpose you're here for, and how you get there. And if we think about it, when you think about something that's in bloom, you're not contracted, right? You're usually expansive. You're feeling expansive. To me, it is the same thing about looking at joy versus looking at hardship. Being in a state of joy doesn't mean that you're laughing all the time. Being in a state of joy just means that you are choosing to allow yourself to benefit from having the most positive outlook about a situation as possible. And so people will find it cliche when I say every hardship bears a gift. It doesn't mean that we enjoy it. It doesn't mean that we don't ever have hard times. It means that we can come into a state of being where we can look at that hard time and we can say, okay, this is going to be uncomfortable. I might not enjoy this, but what can I do? What can I learn? How can I be present with this experience in a way that expands me? And how can I understand it so that I don't have to repeat it over and over again? And when you can do that and your nervous system is relaxed and you're in touch with your intuition, you're calm and you're centered and you're clear and you're focused. You're not wobbling, you're not wavering, you're not hysterical, you're not overwhelmed. You're not feeling any of those things that are actually the signs of a dysregulated nervous system that is in panic mode, that is in survival mode. You are completely different. So it doesn't mean that you don't face the difficult thing. It means that you have an inner resource that is very clear on how you have the capability to walk yourself and the people you love most through that thing to an outcome that will be the best outcome that you can have. And if you can do that from a place of gratitude and love and responsibility of self, if every one of us can understand that we are co creating every experience we have, even the worst ones, then we understand how much power we have to co create the best ones. And we make that our baseline. So I tell everyone I work with, you're never going to prepare for the worst. I'm sorry. You're going to know that you're perfectly capable of navigating a bad situation, but where your focus goes, your energy flows. So you're going to want the best, expect the best, and you're going to prepare for the best because you're going to want to signal to the universe that that's what you want. So many people, including myself, will be like, I created the exact situation I didn't want. I've done this so many times. And then I'm like, but I didn't want the situation. And I was so meticulous to prepare to avoid the situation. And then I go, oh, because that's where I focused all my energy on avoiding it. But in universal principles, and even in my own mind and my body, it doesn't know, it doesn't see the prevention part. It just sees where the focus is going. And so we're told, right? Our news cycles, everything that is feeding us, the stimulus that it's feeding us, to me, is the most perfect example of what it looks like to create worldwide nervous system dysregulation. And so I
Oh,
ask people, please stop, unplug, don't
oh,
feed the fear. You need to anchor into the trust and certainty because what that does for you is it can then neutrally scan what's happening in your environment, say, okay, I understand what this means for me, and here's how I'm going to choose to navigate it. And you can call on the support you need and you can make the moves you need to. And sometimes, yes, you'll make mistakes and you'll learn from them, but you're not going to be blown with the wind every time something happens in the world. And so many of us are living that way. We are living in absolute fear of existential threats that are not even happening to us yet. And our nervous system is being trained to scan for them over and over again. And this is why I worked in the social justice sector for many years, and there were times when I would see people who believed that the threat was imminent, even though their environment didn't necessarily show that to be true in that moment. So I would give the example if someone feels really insecure or in danger, you can put cameras up outside their house and have someone posted up outside their house to make sure no one can get in. That person still might not sleep a wink that night because something in their body is still scanning for the danger, even though the danger might never come. And so many of us live like
mm.
that. And that's the vibration of fear, and why I talk so much about the vibration of faith and why we need to move into that instead.
Oh, I love that. The vibration of fear versus the vibration of faith. And you know what? Both of them, just like you just said, both of them are just believing in a
Mhm.
future, right? You either fear the future or you have faith about the future and what it's bringing to you. And
Yes.
I just think that is so, so important because, like you said, we get what we focus on, not necessarily what we want. And
Yes, and I
so,
love that you use the
mhm,
word belief, because a lot of people, including me, for a long time use the word hope. I really hope. I
mm,
really hope for. And when you're working on difficult situations and environments, like hope's a really powerful force. Like often hope is the thing that keeps you going in really tough situations because it is this it's the imagination of how it could be so much better. But hope will only take you so far, and it will still keep you there. Belief. Just say those two words for me, even just to anyone who's listening. Just for a moment, just tune into your body and say the word hope and see how it feels, and say the word belief and say how it feels. So when I say the word hope, I feel it here. I'm hopeful. It's between my heart and my head. I feel it. It's a pleasant feeling, and it's drawing me towards something, and it's quite powerful, but it's all up here. When I say belief, I feel an energy column that goes all the way from the top of my head down through my body, all through
mhm,
an
mhm.
energy system that we call a chakra system. Belief is rooting me in. Belief makes me feel really solid. Belief is what will actually change our life because it gets tied to behaviors and actions where we decide to take responsibility and move forward and move towards something. Hope is very often something that is more passive. We're feeling it, but we might not actually be doing it. And so, anyone who comes to me hopeful, I have the intention for them to leave being fully believing, certain, clear, trusting in themselves, not ego. This is not arrogance. This is not ego. This is a feeling of capability within oneself where you're not
Yes.
looking to be stabilized by the world outside of you or people outside of you. You have learned how to completely stabilize yourself. And from here, you can architect a life that is so different.
Yes, faith, I just faith and belief in yourself and in that
Mhm.
divine potential that is in every single one of
Yes.
us, just like you said, just like in the seeds and is in nature everywhere for us. We just need to look at nature and believe that we are part of that, right? And
And we
that
are.
faith, yeah, we are. We are. Okay, so what is, to all the incredible amazing women and men who are listening to this. What is like the first step? What is a first step that they could take today to help them move towards this divine joy and faith and belief in their deep, deep potential?
Mhm. So one of my favorite questions that I ask people, and so I'll lead with the one that's, the visionary, and then I'll come to something really practical. But my favorite question to ask people is, what do you most desire right now? And I'll get answers, and I'll be like, no, no. What do you most desire right now? That desire that's inside you, that you won't say out loud, that you won't dare to say to anybody else. What's that? What is that desire? And and people can do that in private, right? So ask yourself that. What do you most desire right now? And don't judge it. Don't filter it. Don't correct it. Don't decide whether it's possible or not. Just let yourself notice what happens in your body when you just state that desire. For a lot of people, it can they'll feel something. They'll either feel like this huge expansiveness in their abdomen and their chest, like where their heart center and their solar plexus are. For some people, it'll feel like fireworks. For some people, it'll just feel so steady, like the fog has lifted and the sun has come out. When you name that, then I ask people to say, notice your body before your mind gets involved. Just notice where you feel that in your body and what it feels like. And then your mind will intervene pretty quickly because it's designed to do that. And here's why: because the survival patterns want to keep you alive. They're that simple. They're very well intentioned and they just want to keep you alive. Your mind is only able to conjure and remember experiences that it has already had. So when your brain and your body are communicating and they are determining how ready they are for you to do something, they're scanning the memory. Well, what, we haven't done that before. This is why you can have an unpleasant experience that you keep repeating, because even though you don't want the experience, your system knows it's safe. If it starts to get unsafe, then your system will raise red flags. But until that point, it will let you repeat that behavior, even though you don't like it. But then you come to this desire, the one that you're not going to, and I call it a desire instead of a dream, a desire, because there is something in our body that gets activated when we say that word, and we have made that word very taboo. When you activate that inside you, your body is going to respond first with the way that it knows you can feel. And then when your mind gets involved with all of the reasons why you can't do it and have it, because you haven't before. Because if you had it, it probably wouldn't be what you're most desiring. You'd be living it. You'd be like, this is what I experience. It's almost always something that you don't yet have, that you haven't yet lived or embodied. Then your mind goes to work. All the reasons why you can't have it. We don't know if it's safe. It's like your crossing guard. Like, it won't let you cross the road because it doesn't know if there's a car coming. It's an empty street. There's no car
Oh,
coming. The
that
crossing
is
guard's
so
still going to
good.
tell you to
The
wait.
crossing guard. Oh, I love that. That our mind is just that crossing guard in between where we are and
And
that
where we most want to
deep,
go.
deep desire. Oh, that's good. Okay, yes.
But then you can become aware of it. So, one of the most important ways that we can move and transform things so quickly is pattern recognition, not pattern judgment, pattern recognition. So see that and then see what does your mind tell you? You can't do that. You're not smart enough. You could never do that. No one else in your family has ever done that. That's really selfish. What would people think of you? I don't know what might come up, but any number of things could come up. And they're going to be all of the reasons why, all of the excuses why we're not going to go for it. And most people will be placated at that point. They will allow the desire to drop from belief to hope, and they'll think about it every now and again, but they'll allow themselves to stay on the side of the road where they are because they'll allow the objections to stay in their way. The moment when people make a real breakthrough usually comes at a point where they're just really fed up. And they're so fed up that they're actually fed up of their own excuses. And this is when you can actually recognize your pattern and your loop. It's not about judgment. It's coming to a point where you just really want to be on the other side of the road more than you want the identity, the safety, and the illusion of certainty of where you're standing right now. And you don't know how you're going to get there or what it's going to be like, but you're just at that point where you're like, I want it. And when you can then recognize the pattern of what the objections are, you can answer them. I don't know how to do that. You're right. I don't know how to do that. But not knowing how to do something and not being competent or capable to do it are not the same thing.
And going up there and giving that crossing guard a big hug and just
And saying
hugging the
thank
crossing
you.
guard and saying, "Thank you. You know what? You're right. I don't know how to do this. I'm going to give you a hug and go for it anyway. I'm
Right.
going to cross that street."
And that's so important because you think it like anytime we release a pattern or a loop, and we do it really fast and you really dissolve it, like you're dissolving it from your cellular memory, you are thinking it because its intention was always really wonderful. It's always well intentioned. Your patterns are not actually like malicious against you. They want you to survive. They want you to be okay, but they're extremely, extremely cautious. And so you hug the crossing guard. You can also reassign the crossing guard a new role.
Mhm.
So you can go to the crossing guard and you can say, "Thank you so much. You're right. If I cross this busy street without looking, I could get run over, and that would not be safe." And so up until now, you've just told me to never cross the road. And you've made sure that I don't cross the road at all. And thank you. But what if you have a new role now? What if I invite you to have a new role, which is you're going to help me cross the road because you're
Mm.
smart and capable and have the best intentions for me? And so we're going to look at the traffic light and the traffic patterns. And but I get to determine how you are going to function rather than you telling me what I get to do or don't get to do. You become sovereign, you take responsibility. Now, if the crossing guard says, "Hey, Sadia, there's a truck coming, you should not run across the street right now," and I do it anyways, I have to take responsibility for that. Equally, if the crossing guard is like, "Well, it looks clear, but I don't know, the walk light's not on yet, so maybe you shouldn't go," and I decide to go anyways, and I jaywalk across the street and I make it to the other side, I have to take responsibility for that too. However I do it, the responsibility comes back to myself, but you're taking your power back. And there is a lot more expansiveness and opportunity in living your life that way. I don't know what's going to happen this afternoon, but here's how I would love it to be. And I am going to have every faculty inside me, my mind, my nervous system, my body, my intuition, all working on the same team so that that is what we're really going for. And if we come up with obstacles, we'll figure out how to manage them. But we'll go like, I'm smiling even talking to you about that because you can't help it. Like that energy makes you want to go. And not because you have to, because you want to, because you can't wait to. When you get to start to approach your days and every part of your life, your kids, your family, your work from here, it changes everything and it changes everyone you interact with. It's
Oh, that
contagious
is
in the
so
best way.
powerful. Yes, yes. And so, um, back in the beginning, you said, kind of the joy of this and the joy that women who work with you start to feel. And you are so right that when we, embody that and take that crossing guard and make it our friend, it's almost like, is that crossing guard fear or is that crossing guard faith? And it's just helping guide us, And I just love that analogy so,
And
so much.
and
And
both are
making it,
invisible, right?
yeah, yeah, both are just
Faith
a
and
belief.
fear.
Both are
They're
just a
both
belief.
invisible.
Yeah,
They're not
yeah.
tangible. They're both
Mm-mm.
about something that hasn't happened yet.
Right.
And so every moment we get to choose, and we're choosing, I believe this, we're either choosing faith or fear in every single moment. Anything in
Yeah.
between is actually indecision. We're choosing either faith or fear. And when we can get really honest about that with ourselves, we can also very gently learn to choose faith more often and for it to feel good instead of feeling scary.
Yes. Oh, for it to just feel so empowering, so enlightening, just like you mentioned, how you couldn't help but smile when you're feeling that joy of taking your power back in faith. Right? Oh, I just love that. Love that. Love that. I have to ask, is the crossing guard in your book?
He's not actually. He should probably be in a book. This first book is really about generational suffering. Like this
Mm.
first book is really about the way I describe it is how can I okay, the way I describe it is that many women walk around as though they're wearing a weighted vest and they don't understand why things feel heavier than they are. But they do.
And just
And
like you said, even if they're doing, like you mentioned, they're
everything
doing
right.
the things, they're exercising, they're eating, they're right, and yet they
I'm
still
not
have the
I'm not
weighted vest on all
uh-huh.
day.
Like my one of my favorite examples is this exceptional woman I worked with. And she does all the right things. And she's like, Sadia, why do I still feel like I'm eating like 2 bags of Cheetos a day? And I'm like, because you're not eating 2 bags, but you feel like it. So you're doing all the right things, but you feel this weight, you feel something. And so this first book is about allowing yourself to take off all of those vests. My hope is that if you can imagine a woman's spirit coming to this book heavy and burdened with chains and armor and heavy vests, right? Like you've been performing and warrioring your way through life this whole time, and you are successful and you are accomplished. Like I'm not talking about the women who are just complaining and doing nothing, right? Like these are people they are out there every day, like most women I know, really doing their best, or they're doing the best that their program will allow them to at the time. So they come to this book feeling like that, like a beautiful warrior who is just worn out. She doesn't want to go to battle again. And as they read the book and they come out of the book, I visualize them stepping out the other side of the book in whatever garment makes them feel most happy, beautiful, joyous, grounded, and alive. And that's for them to choose. It's not for me to dictate what that is. That is for them to choose. But that feeling is that you put it all down. And what you put on instead is what you really want. I want to be 45, look like I'm 30, wake up with amazing energy every single day, be actually excited to see my kids when they come home from school, run a business that lights me up, hire a team that is going to be as jazzed about what I do as I do, go out and have some fun, say yes to more things, enjoy my life, make decisions and take accountability for them. Understand that I am the only plan. I'm plan A. There is no plan B, but I'm okay with that. What garment is that I am wearing? What does that look like on my soul? Rather than I have to, I don't have to, I get to, I choose to, I want to, I decide to.
Mm. Oh,
Even the
that is
decisions
so
that are
powerful.
hard. That's
Yes.
what I hope this book will do for anyone who reads it.
Oh, that is so, so beautiful. Okay, and it dropped on Amazon today.
Today.
And
Yes.
give us the title one more time.
Sure, it's called You Are the One. I'll show you. This is a little, this is my proof book. It says not
Yes.
for resale, but this is what it looks like. This is the cover. Oh, I'll bring it back a little. It's called You Are the
Yes.
One, Awaken Your Light Through the Trinity of Self. The Trinity of Self is,
Oh, hold it up
the-
there just one more
oh,
second in case people
sure,
wanna, like, take a picture of that or yeah,
sure.
so they can go out and grab it. Okay,
So
thank
that's
you
what
so
it'll look
much.
like. It's on Amazon as a paperback and also available as an ebook on Kindle for those who want to take it with them when they're on the go. And yes, I'd be delighted for people to read it. I would be delighted for anyone who reads it and wants to reach out to me and tell me how it went, how they felt. I'm available. That's what I'm here for.
Oh, yes, and share with us, how can people reach out to you?
So my website is easy. It's my name. It's sadiahamid.com. So you can find me there. On Instagram, it's sadia.hamid.co. So, it all follows the same sequence. You can send me an email through my website. You can DM me on social media on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn with my name, Sadia Hamid. So yeah, I'm available through all those channels. If anyone wants to reach me through you, Coach Tammy, you have my information. You can feel free to send them my way. It's hello@sadiahamid.com is my email. So super easy.
Oh, this has been joyous to be
Thank
together.
you.
It has been
Likewise.
empowering, right? I just hope that so many people feel that power and want to lean into that faith and that joy and that inner peace, that inner knowing, awaken that divine within us, lean into it, and know that that is where our true power is. Thank you so, so much for
Thank
being
you
with us
so
here
much.
today. This has been so joyous, and I just can't thank you enough. Here at Christ Centered Coaches, at the end of each one of our gatherings, we always say, go out and be a blessing.
That's so beautiful.